Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Anime Octopus. Today, we're diving into a fascinating what-if scenario. What if Sand release gave Naruto a special connection to Shukaku? Part 2. We'll explore the possibilities, the implications, and how this could have changed the entire story. Disclaimer, the content on this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's get into it. Oh Minato, I wish things hadn't turned out this way, Kushina said softly, holding her husband gently with her right arm while cradling their newborn daughter in her left. They were outside now, in the quiet of their backyard, sharing a solemn and private moment of remembrance for Karura and the child they had lost. It was just the two of them, alongside Rin and Kakashi. Minato held Kushina close, offering comfort in a time of sorrow. I know, he murmured, his voice heavy with thought. I feel like we haven't done enough to honor her. The world can be so challenging. I hope, in time, to fulfill my master's wish and bring a bit more peace to the lives around us. Kushina nodded, her heart full of hope that Minato could bring his intentions to fruition. She silently wondered where Jiraiya might be at that very moment. Through the forest, a middle-aged man with white hair hurried beneath the trees. He wore a distinctive headband inscribed with the kanji for oil, along with a red robe over a tunic and sandals. A large scroll was strapped to his back. He had received a troubling rumor from one of his most trusted informants. Though only a rumor, it hinted at a possible threat to the village he loved dearly. His heart raced as he wondered if he would arrive in time to safeguard it. The sun was rising, dew sparkling on the leaves, birds singing cheerfully, and the forest bathed in warm morning light. Yet, despite the beauty, the sage felt a quiet sense of unease. Even the most serene beginnings could sometimes hold hidden challenges. The Kazekage had spent the day in frustration. He had been close to finding his wife, sending his trusted men to search, and coordinating with the Hokage on areas already covered. He had felt confident, even optimistic. Yet despite the information he had received, the search had yielded nothing. How difficult could it be to locate someone unfamiliar with the terrain, in a forest full of twisting paths and hidden spaces? He lifted his head, gazing at his children walking together ahead. Temari appeared troubled, while Kankuro looked frustrated. He allowed himself a small smile. The Kazekage was a firm man, believing strength came from resilience. Observing his children struggling reminded him that their experiences would shape them into capable individuals. Meanwhile, little Gaara slept peacefully in a wagon, smiling even in his rest. Though many worried about his well-being, his playful nature seemed undiminished. Only his kind-hearted uncle, Yashamaru, seemed to understand the child's gentle spirit. We should tell Dad, Kankuro whispered to his sister. Temari shook her head. No, Kankuro. Mom said not to. Remember how she felt last time we spoke with Dad? We shouldn't mention it now if we didn't before. Kankuro frowned, uncertain. But Temari, it's our sister, he whispered urgently. Mom wants us to look after her. Shouldn't Dad know? Temari glanced around cautiously, ensuring no one was listening. Kankuro, Mom said we only tell Dad if we actually meet Naruko. Until then, we keep it a secret. And remember, she really wants us to wait, she sighed, seeing the struggle in her brother's eyes. He wanted to do the right thing but didn't yet understand the reasoning. Kankuro, Temari continued in a softer tone, I'll tell you something important. You remember what happened with Gaara when he was born? Kankuro nodded, tense. Well, Dad wanted to protect Naruko the same way. That's why Mom wants to keep it quiet for now. Kankuro's eyes glistened with emotion. I understand, Temari. We'll keep the secret. But when we meet her, I'll be a caring big brother. Temari smiled warmly, ruffling his hair affectionately. Of course, she replied. You have such a beautiful little girl, Minato, Hiruzen said kindly. Minato smiled in response. Yes, she truly is. Minato watched as the former Hokage gently played with their daughter. Though he hadn't shared all the details of the past, for now it was enough to be a good friend and mentor. That morning, he had invited only a few close allies to meet their child, keeping the memory of their loss private. Thank you for letting me see her, Hiruzen said softly. She's a bright and joyous child. I hope I can visit often. Minato chuckled, Hokage-sama, you're always welcome. As Hiruzen departed, hands clasped behind his back, humming softly, Minato kissed Kushina and their daughter goodbye before heading to the office, unaware that new challenges were quietly unfolding far from the village. A majestic fox lay resting in a serene forest. It had been there for years, indifferent to the world around it. After all, when one lives for centuries, why not indulge in long, peaceful naps? Mischief can be tiring, even for a creature of great power. Rest allowed the forest to recover, and occasionally, surprises awaited the fox upon waking, unexpected delights that made life all the more intriguing. But this particular nap would not unfold as intended. A gentle nudge stirred the fox from her slumber, and her golden eyes opened to meet a pair of dark, red, intent eyes. Now, a calm voice murmured, "You will have a small task, Kyubi no Kitsune." Dash. That afternoon, the sun was beginning to dip, painting the sky in warm, amber hues that mirrored the fox's fur. Shadows lengthened as a group of young shinobi patrolled the western woods, still thrilled from recently achieving the rank of Chonin. "Do you think I should ask her out?" one asked, swinging from tree to tree. Her companion shook her head, offering advice with the confidence of someone who had faced challenges and learned from them. "You need to be patient," she said, "let her discover you slowly. Sometimes, that's what makes someone appreciate you the most." Their conversation halted abruptly when the enormous fox appeared, her presence powerful and commanding. The young shinobi froze, astonished by the sudden, elegant appearance. It was clear, this was no ordinary creature of the forest. Dash. Kushina gently rocked her daughter in her arms, cooing softly as she fed her. The little girl's energy was boundless, and Kushina laughed at her enthusiasm. She cherished these moments but also found herself thinking of the past, wondering what might have been if certain loved ones had remained. A distant, commanding roar broke her reverie. Even from afar, Kushina sensed the fox's formidable presence and recalled a lesson from her youth. She remembered traveling with her mentor, learning the ways of the shinobi, and dreaming of belonging to a hidden village. Though her early life had been filled with challenges, she had always found joy in the small victories and the bonds she made along the way. "Sensei, when will we reach the next village? Do you think it will have a fair?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Her mentor, Jirobo, chuckled at her enthusiasm. "Patience, Kushina-chan. When we reach it, you'll see. For now, we must remain alert." They soon sensed a powerful presence nearby. The oppressive energy of the giant fox radiated through the trees, growing stronger with every step. As they cautiously approached a clearing, they gasped, there lay the magnificent fox, her tail swaying gracefully as she moved in her sleep. Jirobo's expression grew serious. "Kushina-chan, you've heard of the Sage of Six Paths, haven't you?" Kushina nodded, still catching her breath. Long ago, the sage subdued a powerful creature intent on chaos. Before departing this world, the sage divided this being into 9 forms to ensure balance. The most formidable of these was the 9-tailed fox, what we've just encountered. Kushina shivered at the realization but felt a new resolve forming within her. Dash. Years later, Kushina's fears resurfaced. The fox had returned, now challenging the village itself. She held her daughter tightly, placing her safely in her crib, and vowed to protect her home and family with unwavering determination. Meanwhile, Minato, aware of the fox's presence, prepared for the task ahead. The village's defenders were already coordinating, and he searched for a solution. Just then, a team of Onbu arrived with urgent news. "Hokage-sama," the captain reported, "your wife has been spotted near the disturbance." Minato's heart raced. Time was of the essence. He could not leave his daughter unprotected, yet he had to act swiftly to ensure the safety of his family. With resolve, he prepared to join Kushina, knowing that together, they could face the challenges ahead. "Rin. Watch out." Rin leapt to the side as a massive tail swooped down. Kakashi rushed forward, gently pulling her away from the people she had been tending to. Injured villagers and shinobi were scattered around, some barely scratched, others in serious condition. Few dared to approach them except Rin, who had spent considerable effort convincing Kakashi to let her help. "Kakashi, I have to help them. If I don't, they'll suffer," Rin insisted. "But Rin, I promised Obito I'd protect you. I can't let anything happen to you," Kakashi replied urgently as they dodged another sweeping tail. "I'm a medical ninja. My duty is to help people. No one else is stepping forward, and there are shinobi out there in serious trouble who need care." Rin's voice was filled with determination. Kakashi gently held her arms to stop her from rushing back into danger. "I don't want to lose you," he said, his voice breaking. Rin's eyes shimmered as she placed her hand on his cheek. "Kakashi-kun, I don't want to lose you either, but we have a duty to protect the village. The best way I can do that is by helping those who need it most. And I know you'll watch over me." Kakashi's covered eye glistened with unshed tears. "Please, Rin. Don't. Don't make me do this. Rin softly removed her hand from his cheek and gave him a gentle kiss on the forehead. You'll watch over me, won't you? Sensei will arrive soon, and I promise to follow your instructions exactly. I just want to help those in need. Kakashi exhaled deeply, readjusted his mask, and tightened his headband. All right, Rin. But be careful. I promise I'll be safe, she replied with a small smile. And once this is over, I'll make sure to give you a special reward when we return to the village. Together, they dove back into the chaos. Kakashi kept the giant fox distracted, while Rin moved efficiently to heal those in need, sometimes holding them carefully while administering her aid. Left, Rin. Move left, Kakashi shouted. Another sweeping tail approached, and Rin quickly dodged as instructed. Kakashi felt a wave of relief. Rin. He called, watching her leap into action with remarkable precision. She maneuvered past obstacles, attending to people with determination and skill. Kakashi could only watch, proud and protective. Dash. Elsewhere, Minato surveyed the battlefield, searching anxiously for his wife. A flash of red caught his eye, and he hurried over. Kakashi had returned to the fray, but Minato's focus was on Kushina. He reached her just as she struggled to regain balance, having collided with a tree during the chaos. Kushina. He called, moving to support her. Minato-kun? What are you doing? She asked groggily, her gaze softening as she saw him. You're hurt, Minato said, concern in his voice. Do you know where Rin is? No. I haven't seen her recently, Kushina replied calmly. She must be somewhere helping. Minato's heart ached as he realized the danger surrounding them all. Kushina, we need a plan. Is there a way to stop this? Kushina took a deep breath. There might be, but it's risky. The one who attempts it must be prepared to face great challenges. Who will guide Naruko? Who will keep her safe? Minato asked softly. Minato-kun, we must do what we can, Kushina replied. Her gaze softened as she looked at their sleeping baby. Naruko is strong. With love and guidance, she will grow up to be safe and wise. You, I, and Karura-chan will all watch over her in spirit. Minato nodded, gathering Naruko in his arms. We'll protect her. We'll make sure she has a bright future. Kushina smiled faintly. Thank you. Go quickly, Minato. The village needs you. Minato leapt into action, summoning a giant toad. Gamaken, help the village distract the beast as much as you can. The toad nodded and bounded toward the battlefield. Meanwhile, Minato carried Naruko safely home, ready to protect both her and the village, determined to face the challenges ahead with courage and hope. Minato, I hope you have a plan, Gamabunta rumbled. Yes, Minato replied firmly, holding Naruko close, and I will do everything I can to protect everyone. Let's end this and keep our home safe. A few hours later, the Yondaime was found, holding a small child with a mysterious seal on her belly. No one initially understood what had occurred, so the child was brought to the third Hokage. He was the village's scholar, after all, surely he would know what the seal meant. Meanwhile, the beloved fourth Hokage was gently placed in a resting area beside his wife, in preparation for the village's memorial ceremony. Oh, little Naruko, I'm so sorry, Hiruzen whispered, cradling the child carefully. If only he had known what would happen, perhaps he could have helped, but he had been relocated by an overzealous young shinobi before he even realized the danger, taken while resting. Hiruzen wondered how to explain the situation to the village. Word would surely spread quickly that a small child had been discovered in the Hokage's care, marked with a mysterious seal. People would eventually understand that little Naruko had become a Jinchuriki. At that moment, someone tapped gently on the window. It was another white-haired figure. Jiraiya. What are you doing here? Hiruzen asked as Jiraiya entered quickly. There's no time for formalities. Tell me, did the Kyuubi attack Konoha? Hiruzen's shoulders sank. Yes. It's true. And? Minato? Sensei, what about Minato? Hiruzen tried to steady himself as he looked at his student. Minato and Kushina both worked to protect the village, Jiraiya said gently. But this is their daughter, Naruko. Jiraiya's grief softened as the child was placed in his arms. She radiated the same boundless energy and determination that Kushina had, and it brought him a sense of warmth and comfort. Sensei. Is this what I think it is? Hiruzen asked. Jiraiya examined the seal on Naruko's belly. She is still very young, but already destined for a challenging path. At least it seems she inherited her mother's fiery spirit. Hiruzen's face fell. Is there anything we can do? She may face loneliness. I've considered it, but I haven't found a perfect solution yet, Jiraiya admitted. I could take her with me, Jiraiya continued, but my life is too unsettled, always traveling to maintain my responsibilities. He paused, then his eyes lit up. Wait a moment. Sensei, you've always hoped to have a grandchild, right? Hiruzen looked surprised. Yes, that would be wonderful, but since I am Naruko's godfather, I can arrange for her to be adopted, and you could care for her as your granddaughter. If you resume the role of Hokage, being part of your family will help keep her safe as she grows. Hiruzen hesitated. But Jiraiya, what about you? And shouldn't the village appoint a younger Hokage? Jiraiya shook his head, his gaze softening as he looked at Naruko. I was never meant to be Hokage, and my life isn't suited to raising her properly. But I can always check on her from time to time. Naruko opened her brilliant blue eyes and gave a sleepy, happy grin as Hiruzen held her. He smiled warmly. Yes. Perhaps you're right, Hiruzen said. I can care for her. She is an extraordinary little girl, but I will need some assistance for her daily needs. Jiraiya quickly refocused, hiding a mischievous smirk. Of course, yes. Perhaps for now, we can arrange temporary care with trusted families in the village until she is ready to settle in fully. Perhaps. Though for now, I know a family that could help guide her, Jiraiya said, chuckling softly. Hiruzen looked down at Naruko, who reached out with tiny hands, tugging gently at his beard while giggling. Oh Kami, please watch over us. And help little Naruko find her path, he whispered softly. The day was beginning, bright and clear, with hardly a cloud in the sky. Yet, the village of Konoha felt heavy with sorrow. Many lives had been lost, and the village bore visible scars from the recent calamity. Portions of the village wall had been damaged, and the beloved fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato, and his wife Kushina had passed during the recent attack. While many villagers knew Kushina had been expecting, few knew the fate of her child, most assumed the child had been lost in the chaos. With heavy hearts, the village gathered for the ceremony to reinstate Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, as the acting leader of Konoha. People of Konoha, Hiruzen began solemnly, it has been a difficult time for all of us. Last night, Namikaze Minato and his wife Kushina, along with many others, were lost in the attack on our village. Minato gave his life to protect us, and we must honor his bravery and dedication. At that moment, the legendary Sannin Jiraiya stepped forward, cradling a small bundle with great care. He handed it to Hiruzen, who gently held the infant, brushing her tiny face with a finger as she giggled and grasped it. Citizens, shinobi, all of Konoha, Hiruzen continued, this young child has inherited the responsibility of housing the Kyuubi within her. I understand the fear and resentment many of you may feel, but this child is not the Kyuubi itself, she is merely a keeper of it. Murmurs and whispers rippled through the crowd, some showing concern, others confusion. Hiruzen's expression remained calm yet firm. Very well, he declared, raising his voice. Despite any misgivings, I trust in the choice of the Yondame. This child, who shall henceforth be known as Uzumaki Naruko, will become a member of my household. She shall be cared for as my granddaughter. Anyone who attempts to harm her will be held accountable. Furthermore, I decree that no one shall speak of her as the container of the Kyuubi. For the village, the story shall be that the fourth Hokage vanquished the Kyuubi. This will remain a closely guarded secret. He surveyed the crowd. I will continue to lead Konoha as I always have, but in this matter, I shall be resolute. You are my people, and I will do everything in my power to protect you in this village. Though we have faced hardship, Konoha will rise again, stronger than ever. Let the will of fire guide us forward. The people of Konoha gradually regained their composure, inspired to rebuild their village and embrace the future. Hiruzen turned to Naruko, cradling her gently. Oh, Naruko, I'm sorry. Life will be challenging, but we will face it together. Jiraiya folded his arms, smiling at the baby. She's going to be full of energy, that's for sure. I just hope she grows up safe and happy. Hiruzen nodded. Jiraiya, we cannot reveal her parentage to the public. Many know the fourth Hokage had adversaries, we cannot risk Naruko's safety by exposing her identity. Jiraiya understood. Yes. There is too much resentment in the world. We must protect her. Hiruzen placed a reassuring hand on Jiraiya's shoulder. Do not worry. One day, we will find a way to ensure peace for her. As they spoke, Naruko yawned and drifted toward sleep, her little hands grasping gently at the air. Hiruzen and Jiraiya exchanged a knowing smile, each thinking of the care and attention the young girl would need. Among the villagers, Uchiha Mikoto felt a deep pang of sorrow. She had been close friends with Kushina and Minato and had longed for their child to grow up in a safe and joyful environment. She almost missed the ceremony but pushed through the crowd, determined to honor her friend. When she saw the Hokage holding the small child, Mikoto felt a surge of emotion. Her Sharingan activated, revealing a clarity that took her breath away. The child in Hiruzen's arms had Minato's blonde hair and Kushina's presence. Could it truly be? Had the Yondaime entrusted the Kyuubi's containment to his own child? As the crowd dispersed, Mikoto overheard Jiraiya saying, "After all, I am her godfather." A wave of relief and warmth filled her. The child was safe, cared for, and protected by those who loved her. Mikoto resolved to keep the secret of Naruko's parentage while watching over her as much as she could. One day, she would ensure her own child could grow up as friends with Naruko, honoring the wishes of the parents she had cherished. A gentle smile touched Mikoto's face. Life had taken unexpected turns, but she knew that with care and attention, Naruko would thrive in the years to come. Kakashi didn't linger long at the ceremony. She was surprised, to say the least, to see little Naruko now entrusted as the Jinchuriki to the Kyuubi. Yet, she didn't feel much of anything today. She had experienced profound loss. She had lost Rin, the woman she had cherished, and she had been unable to fulfill her promise to Obito to protect her. From the rooftop where she sat, Kakashi observed quietly. She was the only one aware of Naruko, the daughter of Karura, as well as the Hokage and his wife. At least, she decided, Naruko would be safe. Hokage-sama would ensure her well-being. Kakashi stood, though she wasn't yet ready to take action. She knew it was necessary to care for Naruko, but the weight of grief made it difficult. The memories of Rin and the time they had shared before Naruko's birth were vivid. That little girl had been part of those moments, and yet her presence also reminded Kakashi of the losses she had endured, including her sensei and Kushina, and even Karura, though they had not been close. Perhaps one day she would be able to watch over Naruko without this ache, but for now, she needed to speak with Obito. Say what, Dad? You want Yurish to help with the Kyuubi child? Hiruzen massaged his temples thoughtfully. Yes. I thought it would be wise to keep this matter within trusted hands. Your mother, if she were alive, would have been too old. So the first person I could trust was your friend. Hiruzen's son frowned slightly. He was uncertain about the idea. After all, no one else had been present during the sealing. How could they truly know it was secure? I don't know, Dad. It feels a little risky. How can we be certain it's safe? I've told you, Jiraiya and I thoroughly examined the seal. Doesn't that reassure you? Hiruzen's son blushed a little. It's not that I don't trust you, really. But Hokage-sama and his wife were exceptional in sealing techniques. How can you be sure it's safe? Hiruzen fixed his son with a firm look. Even we lesser seal makers examine such work carefully. Do you think an expert like Hokage-sama wouldn't ensure it was secure, especially to protect the village? His son scratched his head. I suppose I hadn't thought of it that way. It's just. Well, wouldn't it be unusual to date someone responsible for a child? Hiruzen chuckled. Perhaps. But maybe she'll do wonderfully. Why not ask her directly so you don't have to guess? Indeed, Yurish was one of the few who had seen the little girl with hope and affection. She welcomed the opportunity to care for the child entrusted with the Kyuubi's containment. Thus, the child was raised in safety, surrounded by those who valued her. Having the Sarutobi name offered Naruko protection. Many villagers cast wary looks at Yurish when she was with Naruko, and once she even overheard some townsfolk speaking unkindly about the girl. Concerned, she quickly returned Naruko to the Sarutobi household. Naruko grew quickly. She began walking early and, by age 2, was full of energy and curiosity, even attempting to explore beyond the home once. It was shortly afterward that Hiruzen's son and Yurish married. They devoted themselves to raising Naruko as their own. Hiruzen's son, initially hesitant, grew fond of the girl thanks to her lively spirit. Yet, as a shinobi, he often left on missions. On one assignment, he did not return as expected. Though it was later reported that he had reached his destination, circumstances prevented his return. Yurish, then expecting their child, faced the challenge alone and later passed away due to complications during childbirth. Once again, Naruko was without her parents. Jiraiya had not returned, but now that she was slightly older, Sarutobi could oversee her care with minimal assistance. Occasionally, he enlisted Jinan or Chonin to help look after her. He was surprised when Anko, Orochimaru's former apprentice, volunteered. Hesitant at first, Anko explained, Hokage-sama, I know what it feels like to be alone and misunderstood. When I was found after my teacher left, People treated me differently. I see Naruko experiencing similar challenges, and I want to help her grow strong and confident despite the hardships. Hiruzen nodded. Very well. You may take the mission, but ensure Naruko's safety at all times. Anko bowed and prepared to leave, determined to care for Naruko. Hiruzen added, remember, some days you will also oversee Konohamaru. Anko nodded. I will, but my priority is Naruko. Hiruzen assigned a helper for the first few days to guide Anko in childcare, nutrition, and support appropriate for a young girl. Anko embraced the role wholeheartedly. From that point, Anko became Naruko's primary mentor until she entered the academy. By age 6, Naruko was trained in basic weaponry and techniques, but her most cherished lessons were in creativity and cleverness. Anko taught her how to play harmless pranks, and together they became a formidable duo, delighting in fun and clever mischief. By age 9, Naruko entered the Ninja Academy with a spirited heart, eager for adventure, unaware of the extraordinary power sealed within her. 5 more minutes. Naruko was curled up in her bed, hugging her pillow tightly, still half asleep. Before long, a splash of water hit her face, drenching her pillow completely. Blue ah! She bolted upright, spluttering and trying to shield herself, while laughter echoed across the room. Mwahahaha! Oh, that was perfect, Naruko-chan. You should have seen your face. Anko was laughing so hard tears streamed down her cheeks at her little sister's shocked expression, which quickly shifted to mock indignation. Anko-chan. Naruko lunged at the older woman, and soon a playful tickle fight broke out, lasting just long enough for Naruko to cry out, Uncle! I give. But you started it, Anko teased, gently poking her. Now you must face my revenge. Please. I really need to use the bathroom, Naruko giggled, and Anko let her go, dumping her lightly on the floor. Not so fast, Anko laughed, but Naruko took a moment to calm down, brushing her hair and rubbing her eyes. Anko-chan, did you really need to use a whole bucket of water? She asked, still catching her breath. Hey, at least it wasn't syrup like last time, Anko replied with a grin. That would have been a nightmare to get out of your hair. Naruko shuddered at the memory. While Anko's hair was short, Naruko's flowed all the way to her knees, often tied up in twin ponytails or a braid for sparring practice. Yeah. Sorry about that, Anko chuckled. You mean sorry I made you help me clean it, Naruko teased back. They both laughed, and Anko gave her a quick hug. Alright, good morning. Now get ready, we need to make sure you get to the academy on time. It's the last day before exams. Naruko's frown transformed into a mischievous grin. Speaking of pranks. Anko raised an eyebrow as Naruko whispered her plan. Meanwhile, Hiruzen had been quietly working on calligraphy in his hobby room. He glanced at the clock and realized it was Naruko's last day at the academy. Smiling, he walked down the corridor, thinking about the perfect graduation gift. Then, glancing out the window, he paused. Oh Naruko. Please tell me this is Anko's idea, he muttered, sensing some upcoming mischief. You can't catch me, Naruko yelled, ponytails flying as she ran across the village square, chased by 2 Chunin in standard uniforms. She wore her signature orange outfit, a skirt with an angled hem and a short-sleeved top with blue accents. Her movement was a blur, and the Chunin struggled to keep up. Naruko. You've really done it this time. Come on, I'm just faster than you. Try a little harder. Naruko taunted, leading them on a merry chase. Using clever tricks, she created optical illusions, making herself almost invisible for a moment, before reappearing with a triumphant smirk. He. Clever girl, a familiar voice said. It was Iruka-sensei, who had managed to catch up. Wow. Naruko stumbled and landed softly, staring up at her teacher. Naruko, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in class. Before Iruka could finish, Anko appeared, teasing him with her usual dramatic flair. Oh, Iruka. How did you catch my little Naruko-chan? No one else could, she said, giggling. Iruka, flustered but determined, freed himself and dashed off, leaving Anko laughing behind him. Later, Naruko slipped into the classroom, brushing herself off. Most students were chatting quietly, and she smiled at how she and Anko had outsmarted the others. Except for Iruka, no one managed to catch her. She slid into the seat next to her friend Hinata, who always stayed calm and kind, unlike the others who gossiped endlessly about classmates. Hey Hinata. How's it going? Naruko whispered. Good morning, Naruko-chan. How was your morning? Hinata replied with a gentle smile. Hee hee, Anko-chan and I pulled a great prank today. Naruko boasted. We painted the Hokage faces. What? Really? That's bold, Naruko. Inuzuka Kiba exclaimed. He was always energetic and a little eccentric. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't be clever, Naruko said with a grin. Kiba laughed. All right. You're definitely one courageous girl. That counts for a lot. Deal, Naruko said, bumping her hand with his. Suddenly, Iruka-sensei's voice cut through the classroom. Naruko, everyone is reviewing the transformation jutsu. Move along. A few minutes later, it was Naruko's turn. With a confident grin, she stepped forward, performed a swirl of smoke, and transformed into a violet-haired character, complete with playful markings on her arms. The class erupted into laughter and applause, while Iruka blinked in disbelief. Whoa! Impressive, Naruko-chan, he said, clearly amazed. Naruko looked up innocently, a mischievous twinkle in her eye. Do you really think that was a good idea? Naruko laughed as she turned toward Hinata. Aw, come on. It was just for fun. But why is everyone fainted? Hiruzen sat at his desk, staring at one of his most persistent challenges. This was the same mischievous energy that had kept him on his toes for years. Sure, it had helped Naruko out of tricky situations more than once, but the mountain of paperwork left him wishing for a moment of peace. The old Hokage groaned as he looked at the forms detailing complaints about the decoration of the Hokage monument and an incomplete cleaning assignment. Whoever had received this task would not be pleased. Just then, the door opened, and a smile crossed his face, perhaps a brief escape from paperwork awaited, but then he noticed Iruka and Naruko stepping in. Ji-san. Naruko ran up and hugged him tightly around the waist, her energy overwhelming him. He tried to scowl, but Naruko had a remarkable way of softening even the sternest expressions. Soon he was chuckling as he patted her head. Now, Naruko, what have you been up to today? He asked with a gentle smile. We played a prank on Iruka-sensei, Ji-san, Naruko exclaimed. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow, glancing at Iruka, who was now coughing and blushing slightly. Really? And what did Anko do to help? Naruko grinned mischievously. She assisted with the designs, Iruka muttered, looking nervous. Hokage-sama. The details aren't important, but we really need to handle the decorations at the monument, Sarutobi said. He frowned, remembering that even he had been included in Naruko's colorful project. Naruko tried to look innocent, but the charm of her puppy eyes had its limits. Well, Naruko, since you put up the decorations, you should be able to take them down, don't you think? Ji-san. Naruko squealed. Hiruzen looked away, trying not to give in to her pleading eyes. It was only fair she cleaned up her handiwork, especially since no one had been exempt from her paint. Iruka, have someone find Anko, she'll assist since she helped with the designs. Iruka shivered but complied, guiding a protesting Naruko out of the office to start tidying the mess. Hiruzen exhaled deeply and sank into his chair. Phew, that was close. She is every bit as spirited as her mother, yet she resembles her father so much, he mused. At least I have a small gift ready for her graduation tomorrow. Maybe it will make her forgive me for this task. Man, this is frustrating. Naruko muttered. Yeah, tell me about it, said Anko, chewing on a bit of dango. You did the prank, I just helped out. Naruko glared playfully. Anko-chan helped with the designs, and you were enjoying dango while I had to clean, Naruko teased. Anko smirked and tousled Naruko's hair. School is good for you, you know, Iruka-sensei? Anko teased, tilting her head. Of course it is, why else do I teach? Iruka replied, trying to maintain composure as the girls plotted playful antics. Hey Naruko. Iruka called. What is it now, Iruka-sensei? She asked. Once you finish cleaning, maybe I can take you out for some ramen, the really good kind. What do you say? He saw her eyes light up. All right. Now that's motivation. I'll have this cleaned in no time. Anko watched in amazement as Naruko worked with astonishing speed and energy. Ramen afterward, huh? Anko asked with a sly smile. Yep, that's the plan, Naruko replied, finishing the last spot. Iruka finally relaxed as he enjoyed his own ramen. Naruko happily finished her bowl and then reached for a second one. Anko and Iruka laughed at the girl's enthusiasm, realizing her energy was boundless. Well, I wanted to show everyone I can be just as capable as Ji-san, Naruko said thoughtfully. One day, I'll become the next Hokage. Then everyone will respect me, just like Ji-san and Konohamaru. That's an ambitious goal, Anko said, impressed. Of course. Everyone should have a dream, Naruko said confidently. Iruka chuckled, watching her determination. She certainly has more drive than anyone else I know. But I suppose it's time to head home now, he said, glancing at the time. Yeah, you're right. Let's go, Naruko, Anko said. Though Naruko whined at first, she was eventually guided home, her energy still buzzing. Good night, girls, Iruka called, sending them off with a smile. Night, Iruka-sensei. They chorused. Iruka shook his head, amused by Naruko's uncontainable spirit. She's lively, that's for sure. I hope tomorrow's exam goes smoothly, he thought as he walked away, still smiling at the girls' antics. Dear YouTube family. This is all for now. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Remember, every small step you take brings you closer to your dreams. Keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop being curious. Regards. Anime Octopus.